Well, you're not going to believe it.
I might.
I'm sick again.
No!
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like COVID this time. I mean, I don't think,
I'd hope not.
I just had COVID. But sick again. Like, yeah, rough. So for 5 days now, and I'm not even going to try to hide it. Like I sound like shit, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
For like 5 days now, not even like nasal congestion, just like incredibly sore throat.
Oh, that's not fun.
And like persistent cough.
Oof.
So like feels like razors to swallow. and also hurts to cough, but I'm coughing lots. And like since day one of this, it's been like, you know how like towards the end of a cough or like some chest congestion, maybe you start coughing up some of that lung gunk.
Oh, yes.
I've been doing that since day one.
Ugh.
And it's like green.
Ugh.
So I finally, because we're supposed to be leaving in a couple of, like I'm supposed to be getting on a plane in a couple of days and going away, right? And so yesterday I went to a clinic. I went into a walk-in clinic and I was like, hey, what's up with me? And is there any, because like the sore throat was not subsiding. It was like day 5 and like it just hurt so much. And I was like, so what's wrong with me? And can we do anything to speed this up? Like what, you know?
How do we expedite this?
Yeah, let's work with me here. And he was like, well, here's a prescription for some antibiotics. He says, I don't really think you need them, but if in 5 days, if in another 4 or 5 days, it's not better and or is worse, then, start these antibiotics. So that was yesterday when he gave me that, and I started taking them today because I was like, no, screw that. I'm like, it hurts so much, and I'm just like, on the off chance that this is like something bacterial and the antibiotics are just going to get in there and like clear. And it's only like a 5-day run of antibiotics. So if I can be good to go in about 4 days tops, then we're laughing. But hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Movie Men podcast, where I am the co-host Peter, the sick co-host is Brady, and hopefully the practitioner who gave Brady medical advice, which Brady kind of followed but also kind of didn't. Hopefully he's not listening, or if he is, he's cool with it.
Yeah, well, whatever, what's he gonna do?
YOLO.
What's he gonna do?
Well, yes, welcome to the show. We are doing a episode where we voted, or rather the audience voted, where we did the final of 3 votes taking place in 1994 films, where we just gather a bunch of 1994 films and have different votes. This one was Interview with a Vampire, Ed Wood, Clerks, and the winner, Pulp Fiction. And yeah, I have to say, so there was a decent turnout throughout. Interesting turnout.
Lots of people wearing that I voted sticker.
Yeah. We had a friend of the show, Brad, who had somewhat of a connection to the show Clerks. And also just a commonality between 2 films that I just had no idea existed until the vote, which was Clerks and Ed Wood. And I actually just want you to shed light on them to me, just like, what are they? Okay, so Clerks is, I believe, the first film. It's super, super, super low budget. Like, the writing and stuff. Like, I'm not saying you and I could, if we set out to make a movie tomorrow, we would make a better movie than Clerks. I'm not saying that. Sure. Right.
It would look better. It would sound better, and it would have higher production value.
Just because of the time, 20, 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, and he just had no money, and he was just an indie. He was just like a guy who was like, "Oh, screw it, I'm going to make a film." And so, but there was like, I believe, the first low budget film made by Kevin Smith, who I've brought up on the show many times.
Yes. Yep.
But Kevin Smith being like, he's written comic books. He directed. Clerks 3 just came out.
Oh, wow.
There was also the Jay and Silent Bob films. He directed Tusk and just a bunch of, bunch of things, right? He's the type of guy that he gets invited midway through production to go to the super secret Star Wars set and see what they're up to. And, because people listen to him and his how he feels about things, and that creates good sort of buzz for everybody,
publicity.
So that's it. It's literally just about like a couple of like convenience store clerks and who I think maybe work the night shift or something. I can't. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But it's black and white.
Oh, neat.
It's just old. It's just, it's not black and white because it's old. It's just like low budget.
It's 1994, so yeah, I'd hope not. Making me feel old here.
Ed Wood, I'm not going to spoil too much for you because I do recommend you watch it. But it's a Tim Burton film. And
it does look fascinating from the snippet that I read about it.
Yeah, starring Johnny Depp. It's based on a true story.
No, really?
I'm
oh, interesting.
Quite.
I can't, I'm not doubting you. I'm just surprised.
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, starring Johnny Depp, who in the film plays a filmmaker, who also is I don't want to get my terminology wrong, a transvestite. He's a cross-dresser. Yeah.
Yep.
Ed Wood. Is this based on a true story?
Is it in black and white?
It's based on a real guy.
Okay.
Like I pulled up Ed Wood, and what I got was the Ed Wood actual Wikipedia page for the real guy. So yeah, true story.
Is that film in black and white as well?
It sure is.
Interesting.
Yeah, just again, just stylistically.
Yep. Oh, of course. Interesting. Well, yeah, we had a lot of interesting votes. I'm just interested to hear the ones that you shared. I'll get into Interview of a Vampire in the What We Watched segment, but the winner was, and what we're here to talk about, is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, a movie that I had never seen.
I think... Oh, really? Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have, because we've never reviewed it. I was going to...
No.
For some reason, I have a memory of... Maybe I talked about it in years past. I for sure did, and maybe we just chatted about it in the What You Watched. And for some reason, I thought we had both discussed it, but quite obviously not if you hadn't seen it.
No, I had not seen it. In fact, if you had asked me prior to watching this film to tell you what Pulp Fiction was... the most detail I would be able to give you would have been an early Quentin Tarantino film.
That checks out.
It has John Travolta and Sam Jackson in it.
That also checks out.
They wear suits. And at some point have a discussion about cheeseburgers. And that was it. That was literally, the extent of... I had no other frame of reference. I had no idea what this movie was about going in.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I do have a trivia question for you, and then we can get into our usual order of business with initial impressions and so on and so forth.
Sounds like gravy.
It's a single question, and I'll give you some little tidbits before I give you the question, just to kind of let you get warmed up. This isn't the actual question, but I'm going to ask it as a question. Do you have an idea spoiler alert for MCU fans. So if MCU is something meaningful to you that you haven't finished yet for some reason, you've had your time, just skip ahead 15 seconds here. But
well,
Brady,
hang on a second. This is a little
What?
bit of the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it?
Okay, clarifying. I'm spoiling something that was like probably 5-ish years ago.
All right.
In the MCU.
A guy,
Not current. I'm not going to ruin like Moonlight Kingdom.
No,
or, like,
I know, but like the
something.
co-founder of a movie podcast who I can't think of another human being who has more gaps in their recent MCU viewership going, literally
Guilty.
hopping on here on a public
Domain.
platform
Yeah.
and using his platform to say, if somehow you're a total idiot and haven't gotten around to seeing the, I mean, you've had your chance. If by some
I didn't say that.
miracle,
I just said, I mean, for what I'm going to ruin, it's been around for a while, so no one could get really upset with it. Like,
Right,
you know,
okay.
if someone's a super MCU fan like you, they'll be like, that's such old news.
That's
and
old
if someone
news, yeah.
still doesn't know what I'm about to spoil, I'd be like, well, where have you been?
okay. It
So-
just yeah.
I-
you're like,
I-
if somehow
Yeah.
you haven't finished the MCU yet, and I'm like, well, okay. Even the MCU hasn't finished the MCU yet. It's still
Right.
we're still going, but
Yeah.
also you're not caught up. So let's just
I get where the red flags can start popping up when I said what I said.
yeah. All right.
What do you think? What Bible verse do you think was written on the tombstone of Nick Fury?
Oh, is it is whatever Ezekiel, whatever it is?
Yeah, these quote unquote Ezekiel 25:17, which is not actually Ezekiel 25:17 for anyone who has Google.
But I feel like
Tarantino doctored it.
I feel like that's on point. I feel like Sam Jackson's character would be misquoting it anyways. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's true.
that to me that works.
Right. But yeah, that is apparently the inscription on Tom Fury or Nick Fury's tombstone. The F-bomb is used apparently 265 times in this film.
That's
And
interesting. It didn't like I can certainly picture it being said,
sure,
but it doesn't
stand out.
it doesn't stand out as something that was like gratuitous. And maybe that's because the F word and the N word and all of these other, like all the other profanities that are in this film,
Yeah.
I think I just don't hear them when it's Sam Jackson saying them.
Oh.
Like something about Samuel L. Jackson saying mother effer makes it not a swear anymore. Right? It's just Sam Jackson saying mother effer.
Right.
Like, do you track at all with that? Like, do you know what I mean?
I guess a little bit.
Like, I
mean-
feel like had he not sworn in this film, that would have
Right.
stood out to me as like, oh, Sam's lost his edge. Like, what's...
See, I get where you're coming from. I think I grew up with Sam Jackson exclusively being Mace Windu, which is like a PG version of Sam Jackson.
Right.
So then after I saw Star Wars, it was like, oh, he's in this movie about a plane and a bunch of snakes.
I
and
was
he's
also-
dropping
I was just about to
F-bombs
say,
about it. And like, again, I get what you're saying. So like, I think I'm just shocked, and it's not like, I get if you had seen in the filmography the progression of like him being in this and snakes on a plane, then yeah, that would be where I'm coming from too. I think I get what you're coming from. I think for me, the F-bombs don't stand out as much just because there's a lot of egregious other words that are used that are like really raise an eyebrow. But yeah, they used the F-bomb a lot here. A lot. So my question for you is...
I hope
From
you're not
the-
about to ask me what this movie's about, because I honestly still could not tell you.
Oh, that's so juicy, because I'm going to ask you that later, but
Okay.
we will get there. I'm so happy you asked me that. So, Tarantino, from what I read, the thing with the internet that I had this question prepared, and then I literally read something 15 minutes ago that made me second guess the accuracy of what I read. But I'm going to go with that it's accurate for the sake of the question, and that I want to believe it just because it's a fun question. Tarantino, when he wrote this film, had in mind in having a specific star for a specific role. Which future Matrix star did Tarantino write a role for? Was it Lawrence Fishburne? Was it Keanu Reeves? Or was it Carrie-Anne Moss?
Okay, question. Is this the role was still there and then someone else played it? Or just that the character didn't, like, the person that wasn't in it and then the character that they were supposed to play also doesn't appear?
Oh, right. So, yeah, the character was not deleted. It was played by someone else.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
And I think he was supposed to play, what is it, Wallace?
Jules.
No, the
gangster boss guy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's it. I can't remember that actor is he the actor from Green Mile?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think so. That's he's got a very iconic name.
I feel like
and he's also passed away.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, the Green Mile actor.
Yeah. Sorry.
Michael Clark Duncan is the Green Mile guy.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. The answer is you're right that it's Lawrence Fishburne, but wrong for the one you picked. So I showed my hand there. It was Jules. So the character portrayed by Sam Jackson was apparently written for Lawrence Fishburne from what I read. And
I feel like Sam's the better casting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, according to what I read, Fishburne turned it down, and later he said he just didn't like some of the tones in the film, specifically like glamorizing drug abuse and heroin use and whatnot. So, right. I agree. Sam Jackson plays it well, and it's an iconic role. But yeah. Could you?
Do you know what's funny? Going into this film, I looked up real briefly, like, okay, so, just for the sake of argument, like, who all's in this? And it's people like Tim Roth, Christopher Walken, Bruce Willis, John Travolta, Quentin Tarantino's in it, of course.
Yes.
Sam Jackson. And I did see Uma Thurman. I saw that going into it. And then just now, I looked it up again. I have the cast list sitting in front of me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Uma Thurman was in this. Like, who the hell was?" And then I read, and I was like, "Mia? Yeah. I'm so bad.
Really?
I'm so bad at spotting and recognizing Uma Thurman in roles.
Oh, interesting.
I had no idea that was her while I was watching it.
That's super funny. Well,
she's literally on the cover of the film.
Yes.
Like she's literally the poster. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, of course that's her face. But I think it's just the haircut. Right? Like it's not a standard Uma Thurman haircut. And so it just, and the color and stuff. So, all right.
Sure. Cool. Well, let's get into some initial impressions, shall we?
Okay, initial impressions. Like I said, if you'd asked me what this movie was about before I watched it, I would say I have no clue. Now that I've watched it, if you were to ask me what this film is about, I would say I have no clue. This movie lacks coherency. It lacks a comprehensive plot. It lacks any form of narrative direction whatsoever. Having said that, it manages to be all over the place, have a bunch of loose ends, loopholes, things that don't make any sense and are never explained. all while being incredibly entertaining.
Great!
And fun to watch. And so
Yeah.
I'm literally like halfway through this movie, I was like, none of this makes any sense. And surprisingly, I don't give a shit because I'm just like, images are just flashing in front of me and I don't know what any of them have to do with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having fun regardless, so it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Maybe I don't need this to make sense.
Sure.
Maybe this would make more sense if I was someone who did drugs. I don't know. But in my current sober state, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as a piece of art, I kind of get it. So, yeah, that's my initial impression. What's yours? I assume you've seen this movie before.
Yeah, a lot. So, we did a top 10 films where obviously, as you know, as it sounds, we ranked our top 10 films. And that was a long time ago. That was, I'd say about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And my opinion on top 10 film lists are they're a living organism and they change in time because as humans we change over time, and likewise our interests might change or how we perceive things or value things change.
Well, and new movies come out.
New movie on that too.
There's constantly new contenders.
But I'd say even the way we look at things can sometimes change too. So regardless of the thing, it's a shuffling list. And for what it's worth, this movie did make my top 10 back in the day. I think it was like a 8 or a 9, so it just barely got in, but it was still there. So yeah, I have seen this many times. It was really cherished for me at one point, and I do still enjoy this film. It's just not quite as high up there anymore. It's not in my top 10. I don't know what it is about it because I think like all Tarantino, when the highs are really high for me, there's moments I adore. And then there's some lows that are really low for me. And I think specifically with Pulp Fiction, I can kind of resonate with Lawrence Fishburne a bit. There's just some drug abuse scenes or some moments in the third act that there's just moments that I think my stomach doesn't enjoy anymore and maybe ruins the overall film as a whole. So as a whole, it's not as perfect as I once thought it was, but there's perfect moments and there's moments that I adore. And like you, I find it incredibly entertaining, adore the dialogue, adore the characters. And you know me, I love the window into the 1990s, so I love that. And just from putting a film pundit hat on that you and I do, that's what we do. We have a film podcast. I do have to acknowledge, hey, this is an iconic film. It put Tarantino on the map, and love it or hate it, it is a famous film, and it's quote unquote well received. So
right.
I do enjoy it. Not perfect. I'd say the fourth act for me is perfect, the final act. But I guess I'll end my initial impression with a question. What do you think was in the suitcase?
I don't have any opinions that are my own opinions.
Of course.
So I guess I misspoke earlier when I listed the things about this movie that I knew going in. I did also know that there was some suitcase.
Okay.
And that a common theory was that the contents of the suitcase was somebody's soul. And so having watched it, my guess would be that the person whose soul it's supposed to be is that main boss guy, Wallace.
Yes.
And I don't know that I saw anything in this movie that would make me go, oh yes, obviously that's what it is. Like that's a super sound theory.
Right.
But I also don't, like, having watched it, I don't have any opposing theories.
Right.
So sure, if you say so, if that's what that was, if he went to go get, he sent these guys out to go get his soul back, then then sure. But it's to me, the suitcase is just one of those. It's one of several items in this film that kind of feel like MacGuffins to me. Kind of feel like objects or plot points or things that I have questions about. Things that I'm curious to get your take on, or some explanations for. But. So we'll start with that then. Like, what is? I guess my theory by default is that it's the guy's soul. What do you think?
That is what I've come to the conclusion of, and I'm not as well versed on what are the other options from A to Z, because I just think this one fits the most. That's the one I've always honed in on, and just little things like when they. Visually, this could mean a lot of different things, but still, if you're looking at evidence to support the theory you're looking for, this is a point. They open it up and it's an illumination. It's a fantastical, whatever it is. It's fantastical. Like even Tim Roth looks at it and says, "Is that what I think it is?" And it's not just like a pair of socks or something in there. You've got Marcellus Wallace in one of the scenes where he's on the phone. You get a view from behind him, I believe it is, and you see a Band-Aid on the base of his neck. So there's the theory of
they emphasize that Band-Aid a couple of times.
Yeah. When they open the briefcase, the combination is 666. So just all those kind of little things go to me. Okay, I think that makes sense, and in a fantastical kind of way, like why not have it that? Because I don't hone in on any other explanation that is either A, more plausible, or B, as much fun. So that's kind of what I go with.
Right. Okay.
You don't sound happy.
No.
Yeah.
It's cleared up nothing for me.
It has cleared up nothing. And let this be an opportunity. If the listener agrees with that theory, if the listener disagrees with that theory, or disagrees with it and has their own theory, or subscribes to a different theory, I personally would just love to hear what other people think is in there. Just because I think it's a fun dialogue. It highlights the fun of cinema that we can just get so honed in, like you said, on like an insignificant thing of a briefcase, but it's such a significant plot point, and it's just it's fun.
Yeah.
You mentioned like what is this movie about, and at the end of the day, who knows? If you put it in filmmaking school and you use it as an example, like who's the protagonist, who's the end, like there's a lot of different things in there that's okay.
Right.
This doesn't follow a true, stereotype of a narrative that you would make when you're making a film.
It sure doesn't.
And we'll get to this later, but obviously even just the order that things are told in, and this isn't the first movie to do things out of order by any means, but just even the way you don't even realize it's out of order. I feel like that's kind of also a bit different. But for what this movie's about, it's about the dialogue. That's it. Like that is, in a nutshell, if you had to summarize it in 2 words, it's about the dialogue.
Yeah.
And I heard someone describe, coincidentally, they were talking about a different Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but they were describing it as, this is essentially a collection of entertaining moments pieced together. And honestly, that's how you could describe Pulp Fiction. It's, is it a comprehensive story? Is it a traditional story? Probably not. But
right.
As you found it entertaining, it's just this collection of entertaining moments, entertaining conversations. And again, there's some moments that I just absolutely drink in and adore. And I acknowledge that I have no more idea what it's about than you. And I'm just okay about that. I'm like one of those, TV salesmen or televangelists that you're like, oh, I've got these problems. And I'm like, that's okay. We embrace that. You just enjoy that it doesn't have a it doesn't have a narrative. It's just a lot of fun moments and you don't need anything more.
Yeah. Which like you pointed out is in line with what my experience was just this is just a bunch of random moments, but it's entertaining.
Now, being entertaining, though, I want to know, there's some stuff that was offside. So you've already referenced the language, which is, I think we can kind of summarize in a way that the language isn't overt. Like, it's not using F-bombs for the sake of it. Like, it kind of is very smooth and like under the radar. And that they use them in like subtly almost. Like, it's not just like, okay, I just listened to a bunch of F-bombs. I was listening to a conversation that happened to have F-bombs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever not find the N-word jarring.
Absolutely not.
And I think something that's interesting, because there's like two types of use of the word. And what was interesting for me is that on more than one instance, you have Caucasian people,
yes,
using it in this film, and using it in a way, like, not necessarily using it in a derogatory way, and not in a way that, you know, like Quentin Tarantino will use it, and Sam Jackson doesn't have a reaction like, excuse me? Like, you know, like that is just the dialogue. That is just the language that they are talking. And so I think I found that interesting creatively, because something about the use of it, and then the response, something just the whole dynamic about the way they used that word made the story kind of feel like an elsewhere story, like an Elseworld type of thing. Kind of pulled it out of what we're used to seeing in film and what we would associate as normal.
Interesting.
So,
yep. Were there other things that you watch different horror films or different things that I might not be comfortable with? Were there elements in this film that took it too far for you, or were you, hey, it's just a film and you walked away from it? Like, I guess the elephant in the room is the whole third act, but what goes down with Wallace, or Marcellus Wallace and Bruce Willis in the game.
No, I mean, there's definitely some. There are definitely some visually. There are some shots that are supposed to be visually shocking. I would say the first one would be Uma Thurman's overdose.
Oh yeah,
but I thought that was masterfully done. Like, I don't know how accurate any of that was. I don't know if. Yep. Because my understanding of that and kind of what went down, like, obviously she uses cocaine. And then sort of my understanding of it was that what he had in his pocket, though, was not cocaine. It was heroin. Right? Because that's kind of what the guy was saying. Was it like, oh, cocaine's on the way out? Like, what you really want is heroin? Right. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, we all know what cocaine looks like just because of the movies and because of, it's like a white powder. Yep. I wouldn't know cocaine. I wouldn't know heroin versus crystal meth versus,
right.
Like, crack. Like, I have no idea. Yeah, you have to show it to me with a picture and say, this is this. And I'll say, oh, okay. Right. Now, how do you administer that? Like, but yeah, my guess is, excuse me, my guess is that apparently you're not supposed to snort heroin.
Oh, okay.
I guess, or at least maybe not when you've already got a bunch of coke in your system. Like, I don't know. So right. I don't know if that was accurate. I don't know if simply stabbing her in the heart with adrenaline would make everything, like 5 minutes later, they're driving home in the car and
definitely not.
And everything's hunky dory, right? So like,
yeah.
So that was supposed to be jarring for sure.
Yep.
I think some people could be upset. I mean, everyone's got different levels of tolerance, right? So some people would be upset about the guy getting his brains blown out in the backseat of the car.
Right.
Certainly the rape scene is, you know, is meant to be shocking. Nothing in this film, though, ever really had that effect on me. Nothing was ever, I was never like, ooh, this is grisly, or ooh, this is...
Right.
And I think just because it felt in line with sort of the edgy unfilteredness of the world that the movie created. So it always, you know, not that like, oh, I saw what happened to Wallace coming, but it also wasn't like this confounding, shocking moment.
Right.
It was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like that in the world that we seem to be playing in, that checks out. That makes sense. That this is a place they would take that. So,
right. I'm a big soundtrack guy, as you know, and I think this soundtrack is superb. As my Spotify account can attest to, this is definitely one of those albums that I will throw on Spotify, and not from A to Z I'll listen through it, but pretty close I will listen to almost every song. I find not just that the songs are catchy or they're iconic songs, but they are truly used masterfully, just as far as the timing of the songs, both when they're used, the timing of the length of the song that is used, and, you know, they just all have a purpose. They amplify scenes, everything from, you know, in the pawn shop, it's a single song. That whole scene is a single length of the song. Like that's the song begins when the scene starts, and the scene ends when the song ends. You know, like you've got things like that, to just different things like counting flowers on the wall, or just like all these surf infused songs that begin and end the film. And so it's just such this wide array of things, and it works as far as telling a story and, again, making it interesting. And it is one of my most top played movie soundtracks on my Spotify, and I think the soundtrack is great. How did you weigh in on the soundtrack?
I'm about to break your heart.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that I ever once noticed.
Oh, okay. My heart's not broken.
Yeah, I'm not going to say like, oh, you know, I heard the soundtrack and it's shit. No.
Yeah, see, that would break my heart.
It just didn't.
That's fair.
It didn't do anything. Like, maybe I was too focused on the dialogue. I was too focused on other stuff going on, but I never, there was never a moment where a song came on and I took notice.
Yeah, that's fair. You hinted at it, and I just want to go through the list just for the sake of it, but star-studded is incredible. And obviously, different levels of star-studded. You've got people who are in their peak. You've got people who are maybe just a little bit more at the beginning. And then you also have people who are kind of stepping into the water, rejuvenating their career, like John Travolta. So you've got John Travolta, Sam Jackson, Uma Thurman. One of my favorite roles in this whole film is Harvey Keitel as the wolf. Love it. Tim Roth is okay. You know, I do appreciate some Christopher Walken, and obviously Bruce Willis is an iconic name. I remember when we reviewed a lot of Tom Hanks movies, there were a couple specifically. I think it was, I want to say Apollo 13, and there was a different one too, but they were offered to John Travolta. He turned it down, and then Tom Hanks took that role. And just as a fun thought, when I was watching this movie at times, I was trying to picture just in this alternate universe, not that it was offered to Tom Hanks, but just in a role reversal, because it's happened historically with other films. I see John Travolta, and he is an electrifying role in this film. And I think Tom Hanks could have pulled it off too. What can he pull off, right?
apparently Geppetto, but yeah. Yeah, no, I could see that though, for sure.
But the last thing I want to bring up, and by no means does that have to be the last thing we talk about, but what make you of the way we saw the story? As far as, so I think if you're piecing it together, the opening act happens, then technically it'll be the fourth act happens next, and then technically the second and third act, if I have that right. So it's obviously out of order. Did you is it the type of thing where you watched it and you went, well, maybe I would have been more into it if I had known what was going on, if it had been told sequentially? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? Like, I enjoy it. I think it's fun, but I've seen it so many times. So like, I'm very aware of, paying attention to details because I know what I'm supposed to be looking at or looking for. But as the initial viewer, what was your initial impression of that?
So there's two qualities to the way this film's laid out. One of them I admire greatly, and the other I'm not going to talk shit about, but I also I don't have anything against movies that show you events out of sequence. But I do think that it can be something that is hard to do well. And I think that sometimes what's meant to come across as really crafty can just end up confusing your audience. And I would say there were a couple of times where I just was left feeling confused. And not like confused and intrigued, but kind of confused and annoyed about it.
Sure. Yep.
And I think the one moment that really stands out is like when Bruce Willis kills John Travolta.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And then in the very next scene is John Travolta. Because at that point, I don't think I'd really wrapped my head around the fact that this was out of sequence. So then I was kind of like, okay, wait. So now are we jumping back in time now? Like, what? Whereas like the film starts out and you're like, okay, well, so there's some douchey couple robs a diner, and then and then John Travolta and Sam Jackson go and shake down the guys in this apartment, and then later that night John Travolta goes and watches the boss's wife, right? Like entertains her, gives her a good time. And that kind of although there's not like a solid story happening there, it kind of flows in a sense. You're like, okay, well, this is like, I understand the chronology of this. So then when all of a sudden you start to realize, like, you can make it that far and not realize that it's out of order.
Oh, absolutely. When I first watched it, I can relate for sure. And
I think you can make it up until when John Travolta dies before you fully understand that it is out of order. And so then I think that moment, just the way that's done, it's confusing. I'd rather know from the get that it's out of order. But the thing I did appreciate is this kind of like, so there's something that the Lord of the Rings does. Not the movies, but the books. So if you read, for instance, The Two Towers. Have you read The Two Towers, sir?
I have, but not like, it's pre-kids.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 5 to 6 years ago. So but not
several fortnights. Yeah. So
yes.
What's interesting, and this is a storytelling faux pas, and that's why it was such a big deal when Tolkien did it, and Tarantino does it here, and I like it. He doesn't lean into it as much as I think he could. So in The Lord of the Rings, in the books, so in Two Towers, for instance, The book is split into two halves.
Okay.
The Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli storyline.
Yes.
And the Sam and Frodo storyline.
Yep.
And so you'll read halfway through the book following Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli without ever checking in on, you're hundreds of pages in, and you've not checked in on Frodo and Sam. And you'll read through like their whole story through this time period, and then you start the second half of the book and you go back in time to like where it started, and you read through that period of time now, but in what's happening with Frodo and Sam. And that's not quite what happened here, but what does happen, the similarity between the two is large block storytelling.
Okay.
Around the 55-minute mark of this movie, I suddenly realized that for the last 45 minutes, it's just been John Travolta and Uma Thurman.
Right.
We've disregarded, we have literally cast away all other plot points in this movie, and we're just following these two. And I loved that.
Interesting.
I would say from about the 15-minute mark of this movie to about the hour mark is my favorite portion of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, the part that captivated me the most was because I think there's like, you could make a whole movie out of that, right? The whole movie about this guy who's watching the boss's daughter, and she's a little difficult because she's a druggie and she's overdosing, and it's
you don't want to get too close and get thrown off a roof.
You don't want to get too close. You're in the bathroom giving yourself a pep talk. Like, there's a whole film there, if not like a comedy film, right? Like it's and so I found that part, and then just like the dialogue in the diner, right? This 50s diner that I want to go to, by the way.
I also would love to go there.
But like, and then even just the dialogue specifically around this milkshake. The milkshake dialogue. Like it just, and you're right, like this film is about the dialogue and the fact that, you, like I said, you're watching this part, and right up until the overdose, you sit there and you're like, nothing has actually happened in the last 35 minutes. Nothing has happened. I've just been watching these two talk.
It's glorious.
For 35 minutes in various settings.
Absolutely.
And I'm riveted.
Yes.
And it's small talk about like what quantifies a $5 milkshake.
Well, yes. Preach.
So
it's so funny because I was actually just going to hone in on that scene. I love that scene.
Yeah.
You're right. And like nothing is happening. But
Nothing
then
is
after
happening.
10 minutes, you realize that you're drawn in on what makes a good $5 milkshake. What constitutes it being worth it, and all these just essentially meaningless things
and
that are just riveting.
He's like, that's like, damn, that's a pretty
$5 milkshake.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good milkshake. I don't know if it's a $5 milkshake, but it's a pretty damn good milkshake.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, I don't know. And I think that's what happens when you have really strong, like, you don't need, none of the characters in this movie have a lot of character development. They don't.
Other than I would say Jules does, but aside from that, not really.
Yeah,
like,
but they're not like we don't need to know who they are or where they're from. Or what their dreams are, or any of these things. You just need to know that each person in this film has a very strong sense of character. Like they're uniquely different from everybody else in this film, and they stay consistent with that. And that makes these conversations fascinating, because what you're doing, you're not just seeing two people interact, you're seeing two character types interact.
Yeah. Yep.
And you end up with this interesting dynamic as a result.
Sure. I want to piggyback on what you just said and nerd out just a touch more.
All right.
I agree. I love that sequence, and I feel that milkshake sequence in the 50s diner is also an example of the soundtrack, and I just love the You Never Can Tell playing and the dance off and the awkwardness of it, but the stoicness of it, and just the two of them dancing, and I love that scene, and I find it interesting that I think I would consider that like the second of the 4 segments, that was your favorite. And I'd say that's probably my second most favorite. It's a very good act. And my favorite is the final act. I think it's almost flawless. And I think it just, it has everything that you just said. You've got Quentin Tarantino sitting on a bed with Harvey Keitel, and they're talking about wedding linens. And, I've got these linens that, my great aunt Martha gave me, and she's no longer with us. And Harvey Keitel's like, well, was she a millionaire? Well, guess what? Marcellus Wallace is, and we'd be happy to pay for this. Now, would you like new oak furniture in your bedroom? And this whole conversation just goes on and on and on. Or Harvey Keitel going through with John Travolta, explaining to him, this isn't the time to being polite. I'm here, and I'm going to be curt. I've got to be, we've got a job to do. But if it makes you feel better, I'm going to say pretty pleased with the cherry on top. Like all these moments of just has no need to be there, and yet it's so enriching, these just discussions. And my fourth act is my favorite, but it mirrors some of the same reasons of why you liked the part that you liked the most as well.
Seeing
a name I forgot, Steve Buscemi working in the diner.
Yeah. In a blink and you'll miss it.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Seeing Harvey in this made me want to watch National Treasure.
Right? Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. He's an underrated guy. The last thing I'll say, and I forgot to mention this, there's the things that we all talked about that I've always known that I liked, and we discussed why I liked them and where they occur. Something that I think is fascinating about this movie, that I can even find new things in it when I watch it for the umpteenth time, is just the bad things happening in 3 that I've never noticed before. Every time John Travolta goes to the bathroom, something bad happens. So when he first goes to the bathroom, Uma Thurman overdoses. Another time he goes to the bathroom, the diner starts getting held up. And then obviously, poor luck for him, a time he goes to the bathroom, he gets shot. So just like little things in the writing like that I've never connected the dots before, that it's just fun that you can watch a piece of art that, like all film is art, you can find something new in it each time, and that's fun.
Yeah, that is fun. I have... How many questions do I have? I have at least one question.
Please, lay it on me.
What the hell?
Is that the question?
Like, I can connect a lot of pieces and make sense of everything.
Okay.
Except for understanding what relevance... Oh, hang on. No.
It almost became relevant, but it didn't.
Oh, hang on. That's a really far flashback. Okay, hang on.
What? Spill it out.
I mean, it's still stupid, and it still doesn't lead to anything. Okay, so I was trying to understand the relevance of the wristwatch. And whether or not the wristwatch from the wristwatch that Bruce Willis is freaking out about is the same wristwatch that Christopher Walken presents to that kid. Now, I just pieced it together and figured out that kid is Bruce Willis.
Right, yes.
And that the Christopher Walken thing, the whole ass smuggling story is a huge flashback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happened
Which
35 years ago.
Yeah. Which, again, it could be confusing not knowing that we're flashing back. You know, when you've got stories told out of sequence, it's hard to know, was that a flashback or was I jumping stories?
So,
that's fair.
But then ultimately, outside of it being a MacGuffin to get him to go to that apartment, make some Pop-Tarts, and gun down Vincent, what is the point of that wristwatch? What is the relevance? There is none.
You've got me there. I don't think there is. But like in a lot of things in this movie, nothing is really relevant or nothing is really of significance.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was just taking a drink there.
With your illness, I wasn't sure if you were still alive.
No, which, I mean, then aside from it being star power and being really funny, Bruce Willis could have been going back to the apartment to get absolutely anything. It didn't need to be the wristwatch, and that whole Christopher Walken scene it's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside from being really funny, aside from starting out as like this heartwarming story about a boy who's lost his father, which you're having sort of a hard time taking seriously from the get-go just because of Christopher Walken's accent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, your dad is, and then instantly it just like switches. It goes from like this like really heartwarming talk to this incredibly satirical thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, what? Yeah.
But yeah, I think you need the watch though, right? Not just to have that fun conversation, but you know, I think even with such an emotionally significant piece of, you know, memorabilia, I'm going, you fool, what are you going back for? But if he was just going back for his Walkman or something, I think we all would have lost our minds.
Yeah, for sure. But no, so overall I like the movie. Like I said, the whole sequence of John Travolta watching after Uma Thurman, I think, is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Especially, I was like, during a moment in this, when they're in the diner, I like stopped and was like checking my phone for a second, kind of like keeping one eye on the movie. Literally for like 30 seconds. And then I suddenly became aware of the fact that John Travolta was about to dance. And I like turned off my phone,
threw it across the room,
put it on the other side of the room, sat up. And I don't know what it is about, like, we just love to see John Travolta dance.
It's true.
Even if it's not like he's not pulling off super sexy moves in this movie.
No, not like he has in the past.
Yeah, this is not like, you know, Saturday Night Fever. This is just like
Dad at the disco.
Dad at the disco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, sir?
I don't think so. I really love it. I forgot to mention this again. What I love about the fourth act is just the dialogue between Sam Jackson and his character, what he's learned, what he's decided to do, and that once you know at the end of the movie what the order of things come into, you know that it comes to fruition. You know, it's not like, hey, we had this quasi miracle and I didn't really learn from it. You know, he did learn from it. He was sincere about what he said. He was sincere about what he learned. He was sincere about what he was trying to tell Tim Roth to do. And again, it just is a moment that caps off a movie that I think has some really interesting.
He let him go.
And
I do like in movies when the start of the movie is the end of the movie.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden you realize, you know, what moment in time you've come to.
Yep. It can really, it can be really done. If it's done well, it can be really interesting.
Yeah, I just saw that in a movie and I'm trying to remember what movie it was. But
Interesting. All right. Well,
on a scale of 0 to 10, sir, how would you rank Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction. I give it an 8 out of 10. On my category of how much effort, it still reaches the top level. So, you know, I would see it in a movie theater. I would see it getting a babysitter to look after the kids, I'd get out of the house to go see it. 8 out of 10 is still a notch below. I think it used to be a 9 when it made my top 10. So, some things have dragged it down a bit. Like I said, the highs are incredibly high for me. I could talk all night about them. And then the lows are, just some things that make me uncomfortable. And I think what's really got me is just the drug stuff now. It's just like, okay, it's a reality that some people struggle with. And I think it's just when you're having your suspended disbelief, it kind of brings a bit of the reality back into the picture. And that's just a personal touch. So 8 out of 10, even though it's come down, I still really think it's a great film and I adore moments of it. Yeah, what did you give it out of 10?
When does this take place?
How do you mean?
Like, is it supposed to be set in the 90s?
I would think so. Just with the style of the clothing that they're wearing and like the t-shirts and like the home decor. I think it's set like in present day, which at the time was 1994.
94. Yeah. The interesting thing with the drug thing though is like, there's something about 80s and early 90s stuff where like, I don't know. I feel like 80s and early 90s culture, and don't get me wrong, I've never done cocaine. I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
But there's something about that time period, especially in film, that just sort of like is able to like romanticize the idea of cocaine. Like that it was this like, it wasn't like this junkie drug. It was this like party drug. It was this like, you'd go to the bathroom to powder your nose and you'd come back out and you'd dance your heart out and like
Uma Thurman, hot damn.
Yeah. Exactly. So for me, something about like an 80s film, like, it's the reason I don't think I'm all that into the Goonies is none of those kids
did drugs.
None of those kids sniff powder. And I'm just like, it's an 80s film. Are you not supposed to do cocaine? It's the 80s. See, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I don't know.
I think that's an interesting perspective I've never considered before.
Never. Oh, okay.
And like I've disappointed you by not being up to speed on the MCU, the Goonies I've never seen. I've never been interested in watching it.
I've seen about half of it. I own it on Blu-ray.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was like a that and Gremlins in the same set thing.
Sure. Yeah. What did you say what you gave this out of 10?
No, I give it a 7.
Okay. That's respectable.
I have no need to see this in the theater. It's entertaining.
Yep.
And I may watch it again someday. I may not.
That's fair.
Just because I've seen it and it doesn't feel like something I need to see again.
Yep.
But it's not something that if I were hanging out somewhere and someone was like, "Hey, let's put Pulp Fiction on," I wouldn't suddenly grumble. Whereas before I might have. Before I might have been like, "Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know anything about that." Right. Seems overrated. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, it may still be like to a small extent, it may be a little overhyped.
Sure. Very possibly. Yeah.
Just as such an iconic piece of like movie Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Avatar,
Titanic, Pulp Fiction, like movies that people talk about all the time.
Oh no, there's no overhyping Titanic. There really isn't. I mean, honestly, if we're talking about masterpieces and you bring Pulp Fiction to a Titanic fight, you're in for a rough argument.
A rough argument. I mean, okay, listen, I know I'm behind the 8 ball because there's some Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic and Tarantino hadn't used him yet. But what I will say, yes. Listen, we will review Titanic in a few short months. I know. Listen, you don't have to convince me. I'm with you. What I will say, we will talk about this. We may see it in theaters in a couple months. I will just say pound for pound, just as a side note.
Yeah.
Titanic, I'm not going to say it's better. I'm just not. But I will say, pound for pound, Titanic did have a $200 million budget. Pulp Fiction had an $8 million budget. So I'm not saying one's better than the other or one's better than the other because of that. I'm just saying it's apples and oranges, right? Completely different movies, both good in their own right.
I hope we go see the re-release of Titanic together.
I hope we do too.
Do you know how long it's been since we've seen a movie in the theater together?
Yeah.
It's been 84 years.
There it is. Way to go. You did it. That's good. Did not see that coming. I set you up. That was good.
What'd you watch this week, sir?
Okay. I watched two things. So this is kind of a segue from our voting. This was what came second in our voting options. Shout out to friend of the show, Andrew, who, amongst others, voted for this. I watched the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire.
You do this a lot.
Yes, I do. When my
quite often, if one of your vote options win, I feel like you get a little spring in your step. You're like, yeah, my option won. I get to watch and talk about my option. You know what I'm going to do to celebrate? I'm going to watch my other option. I'm just going to pat myself on the back with my other option, and I'm not going to branch out and see a film that I have not seen before. I am just gonna watch my other option.
There's a lot to break down there. One, yes, that's right. But two, I don't take pride and spirit in whose votes win.
No, I'm just joshing.
It's human. No, it's quite serious. It's human spirit that if my interests align, I'm like, hey, let's do this anyway. I do hope for a day that some of these other options, not just in this year, but other years, that options you bring forward or that Patreon voters bring forward do win. Because it is fun when that happens. I love having my horizons broadened. But I watched Interview with a Vampire.
Yes.
And Andrew posed this question, and an interesting one. He said, I'd like to know how at 60 years old, Tom Cruise still looks the way he does. And I mean, Andrew, we're all wondering that question.
I think there's only one way to continuously age without aging.
Okay. What is it?
And I think you have to drink the blood of Paul Rudd. I think Paul Rudd clearly consumes unicorn blood.
Oh yeah.
But not everybody has access to unicorns. And so I think if you drink Paul Rudd's blood, there's enough of whatever the mutagen,
Yep.
That's how, looking at the trailers for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, obviously whatever Paul Rudd is doing, Michelle Pfeiffer is also doing. Good golly.
Quite clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched this film, and I'll take a second to hash it down here. I had seen this film once before, years ago, and something of note, I talked about this before, our interests can change. I think that maybe happened a bit with this film too, because I had memories of this going, yeah, this was a really interesting film. I don't remember what happens. I just remember fundamentally some interesting plot points. And what I realized was, I think the film that I saw was like, again, the TBS special that was like edited for TV, was missing some things, and like was, cut down for commercials. So that maybe changed my viewing experience when I first saw it.
Didn't have the Sean Connery cameo.
Yeah. What I'll say is this movie, just for a summary, if anyone's not familiar, a vampire, that is Brad Pitt, tells his epic life story that over hundreds of years he talks about different loves, different betrayals, but ultimately the loneliness and the hunger that he has, that he gave up death for the sake of, being quote unquote the monster or quote unquote the vampire that he is. And so, it's got a pretty star-studded cast. It's got Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, a child, Kirsten Dunst, amongst, and Antonio Banderas, I believe. So
yeah,
a lot of famous people. Ultimately, if I had to summarize it, it was a wasted opportunity. There's some really juicy story narratives to play with, and I'm not giving anything away here. Brad Pitt plays the guy who was a victim, and so he just kind of became a vampire. And so He's, he kind of just does it to survive. He really rather just, kills rats or does things because he's really benevolent rather. And then you've got the opposite. You've got Tom Cruise, who just does it for the sport. Like he goes out for a night on the town and will kill a half dozen people. And you've got these two people that are bound together because of their shared secret that, no one else can be aware of just because of their immortality. And they are just so opposite to each other, and not in a complimentary way, like in a very butting heads, no rest for at least Brad Pitt. And so I just, fundamentally, I think you can just do so much with that. You can do so much with philosophically what, struggling you can go through. So I thought there was so much story narrative that they maybe touched the tip of the iceberg and then just went on with other things. I felt it was a wasted opportunity for a window into history. I love period pieces, and I'm not sure if it was just the direction that they went, that it felt very not a good period piece, or if it was just from the 90s, or if it was the budget that they had. But I walked away going, well, that, even if it was a bad movie, but felt like I was walking in 200 years ago, I would have been enjoying that experience. That was not the case. And, just even set prop pieces and, costume, like the wigs that some of these actors were wearing, Brad Pitt, like these are big name actors. This is a big film. Looked awful. Like every time I found their costumes distractingly bad, going, that wig looks awfully awful and fake, and I'm not convinced by anything about this. So, it was a film that had a lot of ingredients, a period piece. You got some philosophical questions you could tackle. You've got some big
oven for the wrong temperature.
That's exactly it, Brady. It was just, all those things that I really honed in on, and I remembered elements of them. And then when I watched it again, I'm not sure if I was just more critical of it this time or just what it was, but it had a lot of potential. I'm not a vampire guy movie, but I really would have been into this if they had just done a few things differently. And I'm actually kind of sad about it. I ripped on it. I gave it a 9, or sorry, not a 9 out of 10. Good Lord.
I gave it tell us how you really feel.
Could you imagine? I gave it a 3 out of 10. And I felt sad. I felt like when you're looking for something in your pocket and you're hoping to find a $20 bill, and instead you just find dryer lint and you go, oh, shoot, I really would have had a lot of fun if I found $20. That was the case with me. I really thought I was going to, from my memory and from what I was reading about this film, I thought I was going to walk into maybe a hidden gem that I had overlooked before.
Right.
So 3 out of 10. And coincidentally, there is a new TV series coming out of this called The Same Thing, Interview with a Vampire, because it is based on either a book or a book series. So that's of note. And then the only other thing I watched, I finished The Captain.
Sorry, I have two things to say to that. One,
I would please
I feel like potentially during your ramble there, you came up with if you ever wanted to start a children's book series, because instead of saying benevolent, you said Ben Elephant. And I'm just picturing a little elephant. Maybe he wears a ball cap backwards. His first name's Ben, last name's Elephant, and
And the lessons he learns are about being benevolent.
Yeah, the Ben Elephant series by Pete Sanchez. Like, I just think it would. I think it would.
It's got legs.
The other thing I was going to say is, clearly with the upcoming vampire film that we have, Interview with a Vampire was never even going to be in. I haven't seen it, but it was clearly not going to be in the conversation for the top vampire film of all time.
What film are you?
Have you not seen the set photos?
No.
I will send you set photos of an upcoming film where Dracula is being played by one Sir Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yes. I think I did get a whiff of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not actually knighted. I don't think that's in the cards.
Well, in your books he is.
But in my books, it's Sir Highness Majesty Lord Nicolas Cage.
Lord Nicolas Cage.
Dark Lord of the cinema. Yeah.
Dark Lord. Oh yeah. The only other thing I watched this week was I finished off the 2022 documentary The Captain about Derek Jeter. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm a huge sports fan. But again, it was just a really well done series that even for non-sports fans, I think they would get a kick out of it. It's just really interesting learning a bit about a person who was so transcending of sport, just as a role model, just as a biracial hero to a lot of kids growing up in the 90s. So I think it was just a really well done series. It was interesting. It was enlightening. And it's definitely one of those shows or TV shows that, like, every few years I could see myself rewatching it just because of all the different buttons it hits as far as, you know, what your interests are and all the different things it hits on. So it was really well done. Really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Really worth my time just as far as what my interests are. What did you watch this week?
3 things, if I'm allowed to include television shows.
Please, I just did, so you can too.
So we finished Return of the King. We watched Return of the King.
Yes.
The extended edition. And
the one and only.
The one and only. And I wept during all of the appropriate, I wept when Sam says, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
Yep.
I bawled my eyes out with the one line that I cannot make it through this movie without crying, which is, my friends, you bow to no one.
You do love that line.
Oh my gosh. Like, it just, when the king of the free people of Middle Earth looks at you on this magnificent capital of the city of men, Minas Tirith of Gondor. And not only does everyone bow for you, but the king bows to you.
Right.
And makes makes what I'm going to say is like an official royal decree.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just like a sweet thing to say, but is like a henceforth.
Right.
You do
Take
not
note.
bow to anybody.
Yeah. Someone write this down.
Middle Earth. We are all indebted to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, it's so good. So watch that, then watched the totality of Rings of Power again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Which was interesting. It was interesting to go through and watch it and be able to watch for certain things. Mm-hmm. Having information that I had about things that get revealed later in the season. Mm-hmm. And that did not disappoint.
That's on my to-do list as well, just again for the same reasons of paying attention to the knowledge that I have now.
And the season finale hit every mark for me again. I got chills during reveals that I was already aware of, or that I'd already seen umpteen times over.
Interesting. Bold.
Yeah. And then finally, we picked up at Value Village for like peanuts. We got the first 6 seasons of 2.5 Men, which is like one of my favorite sitcoms.
Interesting.
And 6 seasons at Value Village, pretty darn cheap, in the plastic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no complaining there. And so we've watched, I would say, about 3/4, give or take, of the first season.
Right.
We'll just throw it on, like an episode before bed, sort of like a wind down thing, or...
Of course.
We're savages that eat dinner at the coffee table, so if we're gonna... if we're gonna watch something during eating, it's maybe that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the life without kids, eh? You're like, we'll eat in front of the TV, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you have kids and you want to like instill them with all this stuff. Ethics.
Morals.
Yeah. Could you do me a favor?
Easily.
Could you wrap this up for us?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for voting. Thank you so much for listening. Check out our socials below. Like, follow, subscribe. Please rate and review us wherever you can. We do appreciate that. Stay tuned for upcoming posts, upcoming votes, upcoming fun. And until we talk next time, we look forward to that. And check out our Patreon page below. It's a way for you to get some extra perks, and it's a way for you to also help support the show, keep the bills paid, and keep the furnace going, because it is wintertime.
It is getting nipply.
I think it's nippy.
Wow. Wouldn't be the holiday season if the stores weren't any. I can't remember what the. It's a Christmas vacation thing.
I see.
Nipply, yeah. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.